Now I'm here at the Gaelic Grounds where it has finished Cork 319, Clare 123. Cork are through to the All-Ireland quarter-final. I'm here with former Clare hurler Brendan Bugler. Brendan, it was a 50-50 game coming into this, and I think it was as tight as a 50-50 game is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a terrific game. A terrific second half. Slow enough to get going initially, but by God, we got a terrific second half, and we got a finish that a game like this, I suppose, deserved from a Clare point of view. They showed unbelievable spirit. 5 points down going into injury time. Tony Kelly, what a performance he gave. In the second half, particularly, he was unbelievable. Some of the stuff that he did. Clare, they threw him in and they did the square, 5 points down with 71 minutes on the clock, caught a ball, won a penalty, buried it, and a minute later, ball broke to him again, and but for an unbelievable save by Patrick Collins, Clare will be through to the next round. But fair play to Cork, they'll be delighted, leaving the Gaelic grounds here with the win. But it was real championship hurling.
We'll talk about the ending in just a minute, but the start of this game was a little bit stop-start, a little bit sloppy from both sides. I suppose Cork, this was their second game of the championship this year. Clare have had 4 games, so you can't really excuse them for their sloppiness. What was going wrong with the two sides? Why were they being so sloppy in possession?
I think there is an element of nervousness. There's no second chance after today, unfortunately. There was that, then there was just the both teams getting to know each other and figuring out each other's formations, etc., and the matchups were extremely intriguing right throughout the game. And Cork were very wasteful in the first half, you have to admit that as well. They hit a good few more wides than Clare did, and sometimes it takes a good 15-20 minutes for the game to come to life. And I suppose it probably did come to life when Cork got the first goal through O'Connor, playing corner forward. He was terrific all day as well, and it looked like any time he got the ball and took on the Clare defence that it was it was a goal scoring opportunity. But I suppose that was the real difference. At the end of the day, Cork, when they got their goal scoring opportunities, they took them. Now, having said that, Eibhear Quilligan put off a couple of great saves. When Clare had their goal scoring opportunities, unfortunately we didn't take them.
We'll talk about Clare in a little bit, because I know it'll be a disappointing day for you, but this Cork side, they scored 3 goals again today. They've already scored more than 10 goals before this game this year. I was chatting to Kieran Kingston after the game. It was a definite tactic that they're going forward with as well. They're going to continue with it. I mean, in the first half they turn over a lot of ball, but they score 2 goals. Second half they get another goal. If they come up against Limerick, or if they come up against a Waterford side, they put 130 up against Galway today, are they going to be able to defensively cope with them sides? Is this tactic going to be a tactic that could potentially win them in All-Ireland?
Well, I think Cork's style is it's very much changed from their style the last couple of years, and I think that's down to Donal O'Grady's influence. Donal has come on board this year, and Cork have adopted a more running style game, and that was evident right from the very first league game. And the second league game, I think they 12 goals racked up in the first 2 league games, and that kind of came unstuck a small little bit when they played Limerick. They found it hard to to pick out the 20 to 30 yard passes to play the ball through the lines. They found it extremely difficult, and they found it extremely difficult to match Limerick's physicality. But having said that, the last 2 games that they played were against Limerick, so Clare are a little bit of a different opposition to Limerick, so they probably targeted goals a little bit more. And they looked, the one thing this Cork team have is pace in abundance, right throughout the team, from Mark Coleman, Darragh Fitzgibbon, Luke Meade, Shane Kingston, O'Connor in corner forward. Alan Cadigan as well, they are littered, with pace right throughout the team. So they're going to ask questions to any defence, for the rest of the season. And they have a great opportunity now in the next round to get to an All-Ireland semi-final.
What about Clare then? Let's start with Tony Kelly, because myself and yourself were chatting before this game about Tony Kelly, and there was 10 different scorers against Wexford, and if you could unleash Tony Kelly, he could do something potentially brilliant, and he did. He scored 113 today off Clare's 123, so he was the main man for them today. How disappointed do you think he will be? Because I mean, there's not much more he can do.
No, Tony was terrific, and he gave absolutely everything for Clare. He had a wonderful game, and he's had a wonderful season as well, and on the back of his exceptional season, we'll call it last year. So he's going to be very disappointed. But I just thought he stepped up when Clare really needed him. The last day against Wexford, by his own standards, he was relatively quiet, and it was great to see other players step up and take over the scoring mantle from Tony, I suppose. But when he was really needed today, in the second half, when Clare needed leaders, Tony was there, and some of the scores he got were absolutely worldies, and then, as I said, heading into 72 minutes, 5 points down, it was nearly like ride the rover stuff, wins a high ball, gets a penalty, nails the penalty, next ball comes, gets onto the break, and as I said, if it went into the back of the net, it would be like unbelievable stuff altogether. But it wasn't to be, but he can hold his head high. Terrific season, and terrific game today.
Should he have popped it?
No, when Tony Kelly has the ball, when he's inside there, I'd back him all day long, so and he'd back himself. It was just a great save by Patrick Collins.
So what about Clare hurling then going forward? Because I mean, going into this game, it wasn't talk about Tony Kelly, it wasn't talk about how can Clare break down this forward line. It was all the Brian Lowe and Davy Fitz stuff from last weekend. It was all the papers were covering it. That's all that anybody was talking about. Does that frustrate people in Clare that this is all the talk going into a big a qualifying game to get into the quarterfinals in All Ireland?
I do. I think so. Yeah, it does. It frustrates a lot of people in Clare, unfortunately, and unfortunately, over the last couple of months, there's been an awful lot of negative stuff wrote about Clare, and I'd much prefer, as being a Clare man and a Clare hurling man, that we were spoken a little bit more positively. Like you see the Limericks and the Corks, and with Clare, unfortunately, we were filling an awful lot of pages, especially during the lockdown, with a lot of negative stuff, and but for the performances of the senior team, it wouldn't have been a great year for Clare overall. But the senior team and their performances, I suppose, have put a glass to it, and they can hold their head up high. They were terrific all season. Just
before we finish up, then, what do Clare need to do now next year? What do they need to work on to progress further in this?
In relation to the senior team?
Yeah, in general. So if they want to progress further than the second round of the qualifiers again now next year, what do they need to do? What do they need to improve on?
Yeah, I suppose, look, it's the same. After every season, you have to sit down and you have to review it, and there might be additional players that Brian can add to the panel that might add value coming off the bench. But from a Clare point of view, it's been simply next man up. Clare have been without a lot of players, but not much has been said. Remember, Clare without Shane O'Donnell today. What a difference he might have made. But that's not the way I suppose this management team approached it. It's just you're missing. There's nothing you can do about that. It's just next man takes the jersey, and it's up to him to do a job. So there might be a couple of more players, a couple of younger players in the county that Brian might be calling up, and he might give an extra chance to hopefully so Clare can progress further than they did this year.
Cheers, Brendan.